everyone, welcome back. My name is Spring with Spring Soulful Home, and in today's video we are putting together a DIY 18th birthday party for our daughter. Today's video is filled with so much party inspiration, so if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give me a thumbs up and let me know where you're from down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And without further delay, we are going to be getting right into this DIY video. So now moving on to the hoops. So what my husband started off by doing is he is first pre-drilling the holes where he is going to screw in the screws to hold on to the little feet that need to be at the base of the hoop to basically hold it up. And then from here he already cut the feet for each hoop, and I believe they were 6 inches long each of them. And then of course he's just finding the center point where to drill another hole where he will use those 1-inch screws. I think they were, or 6-inch screws, one of the two, I can't remember, but I did show it earlier. And then he's going to use the screws, you know, of course, to hold the base or the feet of the hoop together. Just because this wood, it is like not thick wood, it's just very thin, and these hoops are crochet hoops that I did buy from Hobby Lobby. So that's why he's just pre-drilling everything just to avoid like any cracking and whatnot in the wood for the feet or the hoop. So then moving on to the next day, I brought the crochet hoops out to paint them, and this is the paint I use. I highly recommend it. The finish is absolutely amazing, and I use this little nozzle whenever I'm using spray paint. Definitely helps reduce any paint that I get from using the spray paint can, but I did use the whole can just to avoid having any leftover, and the finish is awesome. I absolutely love this paint. Decorate the hoops for my daughter's birthday party for the centerpieces. I have some eucalyptus garland, and I bought these from Hobby Lobby. They were 50% off, and then I have some left over from our daughter's the bridal shower that we threw her earlier in the year, so I have a bag of that. And then I bought these grass stems from Walmart. This is what they look like, and they were only $2 each. I took some apart already. And then I bought 4 bushes of wisteria from Walmart as well. I think these might have been close to $4 or just a little bit over, but I just thought they were a really pretty flower and they would look nice, you know, once I take them apart and put them on the hoop. And then from the hoop, we are gonna hang these, they're plastic ornament, decorative, like kind of like Christmas ornaments. We bought them from Hobby Lobby, and the smaller ones were $1.59, the larger ones were $1.89. So what we're gonna do is hang like a bigger ornament ball from the center and then 2 smaller ones on each side. And then we came up with the idea of hot gluing moss to a little battery operated LED tea light, and we're gonna put them in the ornament balls and hang them with fishing wire from the hoop. So originally I was hoping to adhere everything with floral wire, but that wasn't working out, so I have my hot glue gun going, and I'm just gonna adhere everything with the hot glue. And I wanted to share the size of these wood screws that we used to adhere the pieces of wood. They are 6 by 1 inches, so that's what we use. They were perfect in size for this. And then this is what the hoops look like with the paint, and I really loved the way the hoops came out, the finish of the gold spray paint on the hoops. And originally we were just gonna put flowers on this side here. That's why I didn't bother taking that off. But when I was just kind of doing a little trial run the other night, it was way too heavy, so I'm gonna have to cover like the top half of the hoop with the flowers and then hang the little the ornament balls from there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this. Alright, so now moving on to the fun part, which is getting to add on all of the faux flowers. I started off by adding in the faux grass, and I am just putting a bead of hot glue on to the wood crochet hoop, and then I'm adding on eucalyptus and other flowers. And basically I started off in the center first, and then I'm moving from one side to the other, and basically what I'm doing on one side I'm doing to the other. However, as you will see later on in the video, you're going to see on one side I'm adding more of the flower that's hanging, or that has more of a droop on it, for the wisteria, and we totally love them. I hope that this definitely gives you some inspiration. And as I had mentioned previously, that the hoop, I didn't worry so much about the crochet hoop, the part that holds it together, because I thought we were just going to do the flowers all on one side. Well, as I was doing a trial run and just putting them on one side, it was too much weight on just one side, and it was like making it lean over. So that's the only reason that the wood part is on one side. Otherwise I would have taken that off and done this differently, but hey, I just went with the way I had done this, made it work. You couldn't even tell that that little piece of wood was sticking out on the side. So now moving on to the last centerpiece. So obviously, as you can tell, you know, by just working with something, you kind of get a better feel for it. So now this last one, I did a different technique, and I added all of the eucalyptus first. Then I started adding on the flowers, and as I mentioned before, whatever I'm doing to one side, I'm doing the other, just to keep it nice and symmetrical so it looks very even. But I just wanted to give you a different angle so you can see what it is that I'm doing and how I'm applying and adhering the eucalyptus and the flowers and whatnot. But I do definitely like this way better, adding the eucalyptus first and then adding in the flowers. Definitely worked a lot better with adding everything in and the way the centerpieces came out. And the next DIY that we did was a balloon arch, wrapping it around this big golden hoop that I purchased from Amazon, and my daughter showed you the balloons that we also bought off of Amazon. Basically, it was a kit with the same colors that my daughter wanted to use for her birthday party. I will do my best to link these down below in my in my description box. Now, this is the very first time that I am attempting to do this, and I have seen them all over Pinterest and Instagram, TikTok, just basically almost everywhere, and I have wanted to do this, and this is as I mentioned, this is the first time I'm doing this. So as I've mentioned before, whatever it is that you see and you like, definitely put your mind to it, and just do it. You know, you're only going to learn by, you know, any mistakes or just looking back at it and thinking, hey, I could have done this differently. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I love putting these videos together just to show you, as I've mentioned before, whatever it is that you see and you like and you want to implement in any party or whatever it may be, definitely just do it. You know, you're only going to learn by creating that DIY. So that's the whole purpose of these videos. But thank goodness our older daughter had a machine to blow up these balloons. I will be definitely investing in one later on because I plan on doing this more and more. But I loved it. It's really great. And you can see here we just blew up all of the balloons, and this definitely helped so much. My daughter was tying them for me as I was airing them up, and then I am using the little strip to hold the balloons that was included in this balloon kit. I know later on down the line I want to get away from that, but for right now, because this is my very first time putting one of these together on this big circle backdrop, I am using it, but with practice I know I'll get better. So if this is your first time, I would definitely recommend using the little balloon strip to put all the balloons on there. It seems a little bit difficult and a little time consuming, but I highly recommend using them for your first time. And again, this is my first time ever doing this. You know, I definitely still have much more to learn, but I hope it definitely gives you some inspiration to know that you can do this as well. Alright, so now that all of the balloons are all blown up, I am starting to apply them to the balloon strip, and I was just asking my daughter how she wanted the colors on there, if she wanted them like color blocking or if she wanted multicolors, and she wanted them all multicolors. She didn't want all greens, whites, and golds to stay, you know, in one particular part. She just wanted them multicolored, so that's what I'm doing here. And I did leave a little bit of the strip at the beginning just so that way if I needed to attach it to anything, I would have that extra space there, and I did the same for the end as well. Alright, so at this point, being that the balloon garland was fairly long already, I wanted to see how far down the hoop it was going to be, and I could see here that I still definitely needed to add more balloons onto the balloon strip, so we are just checking to see how that looks on there. And I would definitely recommend doing this, you know, just based on whatever it is that you're making a balloon garland for, just to see where you're at, you know, maybe midway or whatnot. So being that this is the first time that I am doing a balloon arch on this circular background, it definitely was some trial and error and just basically manipulating the balloons to look or to get the shape that we wanted them. And initially it seems a little bit overwhelming, but really it's not. I was a little bit afraid of like popping the balloons, but what's the worst that can happen? A balloon's gonna pop. I can blow up another one, put some glue dots on there to replace it. I know it kind of looks a little like out of proportion right now with the big old balloon on the top, but I add in some balloons down at the bottom, and I just got two and tied them together, and then so got two pairs of two balloons and tied them together to make what they call a quad. And I just started adding the balloons in. I also used glue dots. I know this is not the very right way to do it, but it did work for me doing this for the very first time, and overall we were pleased with it. This was definitely a wonderful learning experience for me to know like what to do for the next balloon arch and not to do. So I will definitely be doing another balloon arch very soon, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, I hope that you enjoy this. This was really so much fun. I would highly recommend doing this. And even if it's your first time, don't let it intimidate you. Just go at it. And as I mentioned, like, the best thing that can happen is you're going to learn what to do and what not to do. And it's very enjoyable just to see a big old balloon garland in your own home. Makes you feel all like extra special, and I know my daughter definitely felt extra special, and it felt really great putting this together for her. Even though she's turning 18, it's just something I've always enjoyed for all of my children, my husband, my friends and family, is making their birthdays or special events extra special for them. Alright, so now that we're all done with the balloon arch, I'm just showing you close up what this looks like. The next day I do go in, I add in some more balloons, and I just wanted to show you what this looked like before I added in any more extra touches to this. Alright, now moving on to the next day. This is actually the day of my daughter's birthday, and I am making the buttercream frosting. Basically, I use 2 sticks of butter and 1 bag of powdered sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, and about 6 tablespoons of milk. And I am adding in a green, it's a moss green gel food color from Wilton, I believe, to get it to the green color to match the color scheme that my daughter wanted. I did double the recipe. So basically that's all you do. Now, you did see a towel over my mixer, and I do that so that way everything could get mixed up really well without making a bigger mess on my countertops. Now that my buttercream is all mixed up, what I'm doing is I'm adding in the gel food color, and I am just using it by the toothpick. I just dip my toothpick into the gel food color once, and then I use that same toothpick, put it into my frosting, and I only use a toothpick each and every time that I dip that into my gel food color so I don't contaminate the food coloring with buttercream frosting. And I just do this a little bit at a time. I've learned to do this so that way it doesn't get too dark, and I can control the consistency of the color that I want it to be. Alright, so now I am ready to frost my cake. Now, my cakes, I made these a few days before and put them in the freezer. For each cake layer, I used 3 boxes of white cake mix, and I used the biggest pan size that they had. I'll have to put that down in the title here for you. I don't remember off the top of my head right now. But to make the cake a little bit more dense, instead of using all egg whites, I actually used 2 normal eggs and then 1 egg white, and then instead of using water, I replaced the water with milk because I noticed the white cake mix tends to be too moist for this type of a cake. And so here I am just cutting off the brown edges. I forgot to do that on the underside. Lesson learned. And then these templates, my daughter Shania, she drew those for me. The 1 and the 8 for, you know, it's our daughter's 18th birthday, so I am just cutting that out on the cake. And now the leftover cake, you can make cake pops out of that if you'd like, so it doesn't go to waste. And I do definitely recommend cutting this out over your cake while your cakes are still pretty frozen or very cold from being in the refrigerator. Alright, so while I was done with that, my daughter was hanging the clear bulb ornaments to the hoops, and I just wanted to show you what she was doing and how she was doing that. She just used fishing line to attach those, and these just look so beautiful with the LED lights on. They just gave such a pretty glow and flicker, and we just absolutely love the way they came out. And this is the second layer of the cake, and basically what I did to the first side, I'm going to do to the second side. And then, as I mentioned, one of the things that I should have done was take off all the brown edges from the underside of the cake as well. Again, this is my second time making one of these cakes, so definitely was a learning experience. Now what I'm also doing is the other cake numbers that I previously cut out, I put those back in the freezer for a little bit, and then I just place them very carefully on top of the cake so that way they can be the same size. Now another thing that I noticed on this is on my 8, I didn't round that off on the bottom, but again, it is something that I'm learning, and I do definitely enjoy sharing these moments with you, so that, as I've mentioned before, so that way you know if it's something you want to do, definitely give it a try. Don't be intimidated by saying this is your first time. Just go at it and you will definitely learn. Alright, so now my frosting, I'm pouring that, not pouring, but putting it into a pastry bag. Now I thought I had the larger bags, but these are just the normal smaller ones, so I did struggle a little bit with just having to refill my bag quite a few times. So I would definitely suggest getting the bigger decorating bags. And then I used a star tip for this, and basically all I did was just make little rosettes, just going around and around, and you'll see what I'm doing here. Very simple. I do definitely like the way this looks on these number cakes. And so then once you're done with the first layer, you are going to then carefully place the second layer on top, lining that up as close as you can. Now, once I line mine up, I did notice that I needed to do a little bit of trimming around, which again, you know, I wasn't very bothered by that, being that this is my second time doing this. And again, I'm just repeating the same process as I did with the first layer. I am just making little rosettes. You just twirl it around in a circle in the shape of like a rose, and basically that's what you get, is a little rosette. So now that I'm all done frosting the cake with the little rosettes, I am putting that back in the refrigerator, and I have already rinsed off my strawberries, patted them dry, and I've already melted my white chocolate. I'm dipping them in white chocolate, and then I will add on some really cute sprinkles to them. And then I'm also going to just drizzle white chocolate that I pour into a pastry bag, and I cut a very small hole and I drizzle that. Then I also pipe in the chocolate into these chocolate candy molds, and they are in the shape of gems, and I'm also using that to top off the cake as well. And doing these cakes, I love the look of fresh flowers, which is very popular. However, what I did is I got the white roses that I was going to use, and I measured those to the length that would fit in the cake. And I also, as you can see here, myself and one of our sweet friends, she was helping me to wrap the roses in saran wrap, being that they are fresh roses. You want to make sure, or any other type of flower, that you wrap the bottom part in saran wrap before you put those into your cake. And I'm also adding in the Ferrero Rochers. You can add in any type of candy that you like. My daughter did like these, and I do like also the gold wrapper on these. Just went perfectly with the whole theme of everything that we were doing. So again, keep in mind that when you're making these type of cakes, to add in some of the person's favorite treats, you know, or maybe ask them what they would like. These were all things that I did talk with my daughter about, and she said she did definitely like them. And then I am just spraying here some edible gold luster dust. It gives the roses, strawberries, and candy such a beautiful shine, and I personally love the way this looks. And now, ending with the video, I am just giving you an overview of how everything turned out, and I definitely hope that this gave you some DIY party decor inspiration. And be sure to give me a thumbs up and let me know what was your favorite part of the video. And friends, I greatly appreciate you watching this video. Stay tuned, and if you're not subscribed, I would love if you would join my YouTube community. I definitely have some more DIY party decorating videos coming up. You won't want to miss those, so be sure you hit that red subscribe button down below, and be sure that your bell notifications are turned on, and we will see you again on the next video, friends. You have a wonderful, blessed day. Bye-bye.